Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to El Toro's podcast. Enjoy the show. And remember, we are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of El Toro's podcast, and you know who I am. I don't have to tell you, but you know what? I'm going to anyway. This is El Toro. It is March the 17th, 2017, and this is going to be a really great podcast, man. I know I say that in every single podcast that I've actually done, but this one's going to be legitimately cool. You guys have any idea just how much fun this ride has been so far? uh, if you would have told me several years ago that I would actually be doing a podcast, I would have called you pretty much a flat out liar. So this has been fun. This has been entertaining, and I'm certainly learning a lot, not just about podcasting in general and about the topics that I pretty much talk about on my podcast, but more about myself. I realized that this is like the most fun I've had in a really, really long time. Um, all right, let me backtrack on that. I have fun. I do. I have fun with my family. I have fun with my friends. But doing something that I've never envisioned being able to do, because I've always been such a shy person for many, many, many years growing up, and to be as vocal as I have been able to be and express myself uh, like this is it's one hell of a ride, and it's absolutely awesome. So thanks for all the people who have been following. Thanks for all the people who have been sharing and liking the SoundCloud podcasts. I don't have a clue how to actually check for statistics on who's downloading the podcast on Google Play or iTunes, but this is where I mostly do all my stuff anyway, and it's fun. And for the people at SoundCloud being able to help me out, answering my questions, uh, shouts out to them for doing a great job in helping a very amateur podcaster um, do something that he's really like to do. So it's almost going to be a year, guys. I can't believe it. Almost going to be a year that I've actually launched El Toro's podcast, and we're on episode 20. It's not really that bad. I would have loved to have had more podcasts, but the situation is how it is, and I'm just grateful, and I'm very grateful of the amount of followers that I have, and people who are really liking it, and send me tweets or direct messages here and there saying that keep up the great work. We love what you do, and it's just fun. Um, So there's a lot to talk about in this podcast, and as you guys know, I break it down into three parts. So the first part we're gonna talk about just random bullshit, the random thoughts that go on in my head on a almost on a daily basis, and some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth just comes out at the spur of the moment. Some of them has just been brewing up in the back of my mind, and I take this opportunity of doing my own personal therapy, um, my self therapy, if you will, and just get it out there and get people wondering at the same time what the hell is wrong with him. Some people who are the closest people in my life still don't even know what the hell is wrong with me, and they're still a part of my life because it's either by choice or they don't have much of a choice. So one of the things that's happening today, now you guys know today is St. Patrick's Day, and I thought it was kind of cool that I was able to get to do this part. Now, I have the highest respect for anybody who is wearing a uniform, especially if you're in the armed forces serving our country, if you're local law enforcement, if you're the the finest or the bravest or both, and you're in the fire department. It, it touches close to home because these are the people who are putting their lives on the line 24/7, 365 for people like me, for my family, for my friends, so we can be able to enjoy our lives, our freedom, um, the way we are. So when a day like this comes, St. Patrick's Day in New York City, there's a lot of people, police officers, members of the fire department, are members of the military who come out to be a part of the parade or to do crowd control for the parade taking place today. All of you know I work in New York City, in Manhattan, the capital of the world, as you all know. And I'm very close to the iconic Fifth Avenue, where the parade takes place. For me to get to where I work, I actually have to come out of Grand Central Station, cross Fifth Avenue, and go to where I need to go. To put this out there, the schedule that I work on a daily basis, unless I'm told otherwise, I'm asked otherwise, I work an 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift, Monday through Friday. The parade starts at 11 o'clock. So I didn't need to get in early because I wasn't asked to come in early, but this was one of the days I said, I have to get in early. Otherwise, I will never be able to get across Fifth Avenue to get to work. There may have been ways, but I didn't really want to explore the options on how to do that. So I said, let me just get in early. I arrive in Grand Central Station and I see walking in front of me somebody in a uniform, like saying, okay, well, let me start walking a little bit closer. I want to see who they are. And it turns out that this gentleman was in his dress uniform from the New York Fire Department, and he's in his really nice dress uniform. And I just had to extend my hand, saying, "Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to thank you so much for your service to our city and for taking care of everyone. And I just wanted to thank you for that." And this gentleman's face lit up and a huge smile just showed up. And he said, "Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that." And that made me feel really warm and fuzzy inside that I was able to see somebody in their uniform, be able to have that opportunity to say that to them. And then I'm walking out of the Grand Central Station. I'm on right in the street, walking in the sidewalk towards my destination. And there's a lot of uniformed police officers, and I pretty much did the same thing. I pretty much said, "Hey, thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you for everything." And it was consistent. The smiles on their faces, I'm it's like I made their day. Um, Most police officers have to keep a very neutral face to the general public. Um, for whatever reason, it's their training, and it's and when they're talking to a tourist or somebody who's lost in the city or or whatnot, their demeanor changes, obviously. But to see their reaction when somebody goes up to them, goes out of their way, um, no matter how busy they are, they just take time to go up to them and just say, thank you. Thank you for putting on that uniform daily. Thank you for serving our city, for serving the general public, for taking care of people like me and my family. Thank you so much. Their face, their no amount of money can actually make me feel as great as seeing their faces light up like that and smile and and seeing their appreciation for that. It, I bet you anything that if we actually did more of that and show them the respect and the love that they should deserve for serving us and protecting us, I think this world would actually be a better place. But that's just me talking. That's just my thought. Um, I just have high hopes for little things like that, which is why I keep telling my son, always be nice to everybody, always say hello. Even if they don't say hello back, just say hello to them. And he's doing that. My son is doing that whenever he sees somebody walking by, says hi, and that person may have had a really bad day or just have this resting bitch face, is like I like to call it. But the second my son actually looks up and says hi, and they look down, their face lights up. So I'm doing my best to show my son, you know, kindness and to show that kindness out to other people who actually might even need it. I may have told you this story before, but if I haven't, then here it goes. And if I have, then it's just a refresher. So the other day, my wife and my son are in a department store. Well, not really a department store, but it's like a chain store, Target. And it was a day I think they were off. I was probably working, or I was probably doing something. I don't know what where I was at that time. And my son was in, the shopping cart. He sits down in the shopping cart, and my wife pushes him around. And my wife was checking out some clothes in that section in Target, and there was a woman who was like looking at some clothes too, and she was actually looking at maternity clothes. She was pregnant. So my son actually like looks over, glances at her, and he basically does what he normally does. He says, "Hi there." Hi. Well, he says hi, and the woman from the story that my wife told me, this woman's face just lit up, and she was smiling, and she was happy. She was having a conversation with my son. My son's showing her his shirt. He had a Thomas shirt that day. He's like, Thomas, and I think he had some a toy in his hand, and she was having this wonderful conversation with my son, and then um, she had to say goodbye because she had to go leave, and she was heading toward the register, and she came up to my wife and saying, "I needed that so much. Thank you so much for this moment, and thank you for teaching your son to say hi and to show kindness." And when my wife told me that story, it made me feel really happy and made me feel warm and really fuzzy inside. And yes, you will hear me say warm and fuzzy. A 6'1", almost 195-pound, 40-something-year-old male is saying warm and fuzzy. So go fuck off. I'll say it. Don't don't judge me. Uh, so yeah, it felt really good just being able to say thank you to the people who serve our city and who serve our country. And there were quite a few of them. I got to say quite a few of them, police officers. There was a couple of people from the National Guard, or a couple of them from the Army. firefighters in their dress uniforms. So it was nice. It felt great. It felt really great. So that's my random thought for that. Uh, Another part of randomness just going in my head. You ever, well, being that I'm a guy, uh, I think about like weird things, like as most typical guys do. Like, why why do guys obsess about boobies? Um, Honestly, I mean, it's like I think that Dennis Leary said it best in one of his stand-up comedies. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head which one it is. It's really not coming to me right now, but I'll figure it out. If it comes to me within this podcast, I'll tell you. Otherwise, if not, it'll be a podcast for another day. But he said that I can't quote it, but he said something on the fact that if you want to end war, take the Goodyear blimp, paint the tit on it, put a nipple on it, and fly it across the areas that have conflict and watch the wars end. uh, yeah, I think I will need to agree with that. Men at no matter what age they are will act the same way as a newborn baby or an infant will whenever they see boobies. Okay, they go gaga, they start drooling, and they immediately want to latch onto them. Sorry. I'm having a feeling that when my wife hears this podcast, she's going to punch me in the face. And if she does, I'll make sure that there's a camera set up so you can actually see that happen, and I will share it on instant media, on my social media. Sorry. This is what happens when you have lack of sleep. Last night, my son stays over at my in-laws, his grandparents' place, once a week. And last night was the winning day. So it's just my wife and I at home, just sitting down. We were just watching Netflix and chill. No, not really Netflix and chill. We were just watching Netflix and relaxing is what it was. And ready to, kind of like turn off the lights to like really go to sleep. And all of a sudden the house phone rings, and I pick up the house phone, and it's my father-in-law telling me that my son is in extreme pain and he's crying, and I can hear him crying in the background. That his ear is hurting him, and like, oh gosh, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? All right, well, we don't have much of a choice. We got to take him to the emergency room if he's in that much pain. So my wife and I get dressed and start heading out to the emergency room, and my in-laws met us there. And my son saw me. I immediately took my hands out, and he immediately just went right in my arms. He hugged me really hard, and he was crying. He was crying, like saying, "Papito, little boy, you're gonna be okay. Don't worry. Everything's gonna be all right." Turns out he has kind of sort of like an ear infection, but not a full-blown ear infection. So, but because there were so many people in the emergency room, what usually would have been in this emergency room. Shouts out to the people at White Plains Hospital. They always do such a great job, which is why we continue going there for any of our medical needs. Um, it took a while because the emergency room was kind of packed last night. So what could have been about like an hour in and out hour thing, it turned out to be we got home like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's home right now with my wife. My wife took off from work because I was not going to allow her to go into work with such little amount of sleep, being pregnant. Not happening. I will, I will do whatever I need to do to make up for that time by working extra hours or whatever. So it's just what you got to do. So, um, so yeah, I'm really running on fumes right about now because obviously I didn't get to fall asleep as well as I would have wanted to because I'm concerned about him and just making sure he's okay. He's sleeping in the bed with us, and I'm trying to make sure if I turn, I don't hit him, and I don't fall off the bed. But fortunately, he slept through. I was able to see him in the morning, say goodbye to him in the morning. My wife sent a picture of him. He's walking around the house in his diapers. So, so I could tell he's doing really well now, especially with the medication that the hospital sent us with. Um, so yeah, so if I'm stuttering, if I'm trying to grasp for my words, it's because it's a lack of sleep. But I really wanted to get this podcast together and get this podcast out because this was gonna be a very, very special podcast. Now, coming up shortly, I have a very special guest, my very first guest on the podcast, and he's a very, very close friend of mine. You're going to hear about that shortly, but we're going to take a little break, and I want you guys to listen to some music. And I've been playing around a little bit with GarageBand on the iPad, and I came up with a little couple of tunes here and there. So check it out. Let me know what you think, and we'll be right back with the wrestling portion of the podcast. dude, thanks a lot for doing this, man. I really appreciate it, man.
No worries, man. No worries.
I'm very, very excited about this. So, all right, now that I have the app running here, I'm going to start it off in about 10 seconds,
Okay.
and we'll go from there. So here we go.
Yeah.
Guys, everyone, how's everyone going? Guys, I promised you that I would bring in a guest today on the podcast, and I don't only just have a guest. I am very pleased and honored to say that I brought in a very good friend of mine. He has been doing great, great things in the independent wrestling scene. You've seen him in various promotions, and he is the co-creator of Capital Wrestling, which is coming to you all live March 25th at the Cathedral Hall in Jersey City. We'll talk more about that later. He was also a special guest on the Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast on SoundCloud. Now, for those of you who haven't heard it, go check out SoundCloud and check out episode 141. We're also going to be talking about wrestling today in general. Please welcome my guest and my friend, Matt Ryan. Matt, how's it
Hey,
going?
buddy. How are you, man? I'm doing good. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing really well. Not too sure how I'm doing with this weather thing going on, man. It's like, but other than that, yeah, we're New Yorkers, I guess. We have to get used to this, right?
Yeah, this weather is the worst, but
Yeah,
trying to get used to it, trying to just live what we got going on. Not necessarily my favorite thing to do, but
yeah, it's the nature of the beast, man. Nature of the beast. So, dude, once again, thanks for coming on the show, man. So I thought we'd talk about anybody who wants to know everything about you really should listen to that podcast from Big Gold Belt Wrestling, because it really touched on a lot of things about you as a person. But what I'd like to talk about, a few things, of course, is how you and I met.
mhm.
And, our history, any stories, how the love of our business and whatnot. And we'll go from there, and then we'll go into talking about Capital Wrestling, man.
All right, man. I'm excited to do that. Thank you so much for having us and having me on. And it's great to just sit down with you and talk.
Yeah, man. We haven't done this in a while, so this is going to be pretty good. So, all right, bro. Do you remember? Do you remember how you and I met and through who?
Well, we met through Brandon Lewis, and Brandon's probably one of my closest friends in professional, if not in life. We've been friends for 5 years at this point. We started working together in Fighting Spirit Wrestling, and then after that, we just became close friends, and we still support each other to this day. And we met because I was working with Brandon at JCW/GCW, and we just started talking to each other, and ever since then, you've become someone that's been a very cool person, a very supportive person to everything I've done. And hopefully I've been able to carry my slack of the friendship as well.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I've learned so much about this business, a heck of a lot more now, especially with the independent scene, thanks to you, thanks to Bren Lewis, and, the likes of Ricky O, who's enjoying his wrestling retirement in Tennessee. Hate the bastard, man. He's all the way in the nice weather, and here we're just suffering in this cold. But yeah, no, you've been a very close friend of mine, and anything I've always been able to do to help out any promotion, you know me, I promote the crap out of you guys, and I'm having a lot of people buying your shirt, man. It is selling more T-shirts right now than the James Ellsworth shirt, man. That's all I gotta say about that, man.
I'd wish. I wish. Yeah, the Buy My Stuff revolution from Matthew Ryan Shapiro has been very, very good to me. I've been very fortunate over the past 2 years or so to really find a part of this industry that I can really turn into my own and really develop something into. And that's really kind of been the goal with the entire foray into pro wrestling. I fell into the industry, and it's something that I've been passionate and cared about my entire life. Since I was 1 year old, I have been a fan of professional wrestling, and for the past 5 or 6 years, I've been fortunate and, lucky enough to be a part of it, whether it is an announcer, a manager, a producer, booker, writer, whatever terms you want to use, content curator, which is one of my roles with Capital Wrestling. And being Matthew Ryan Shapiro has really helped me stand out in an industry where there are not a lot of managers, where there are not a lot of guys whose modus operandi is to get their talent heat and get their talent over. So it's been it's been a very fun ride, and to have a couple thousand people boo me and then head over and buy a button, buy a t-shirt, buy some alternative facts or some dignity. It's a really, really cool thing.
It truly is, man. And I'm glad you actually touched upon that, because I wanted to ask you, who was your biggest inspiration to be able to be that perfect? Yeah, I'm saying perfect, but I'm kind of biased because you're my friend, man. But I'm going to say it right off the bat, like the perfect heel, because you don't get to see a lot of perfect heel managers out there anymore. I mean, yeah, you get to see a little bit of the heels, but they don't have that oomph that you're putting into it, and it's just amazing. So, who was your inspiration? Who are your inspirations?
There's no easy answer for that, because growing up, it's the Homesteads. It's Paul Heyman as Paulie Dangerously. When I started really getting into the mindset of developing character, I listened and watched a lot of Paul Heyman promos, Paulie Dangerously promos, when he was in Continental, when he was working in Alabama, when he was working in Memphis. Just trying to hear different ways to use words. And then you obviously have Bobby Heenan, who's played an indelible part in my life, as a broadcaster and as a manager. And then Jim Cornette, Gary Hart. There's a ton of just great managers. Larry Sweeney. If you've never watched Larry Sweeney as a manager, you're doing yourself a major disservice, because without Larry Sweeney, there would be no Matthew Ryan Shapiro. And a bunch of other influences too. Howard Cosell is someone that I've admired my entire life, because I started out in broadcasting. Started out wanting to be an announcer, be a radio show host, be a podcaster. And I still am lucky enough to do things like that, but most of my love and most of the things that I've been a part of have been in pro wrestling. So guys like that, the Opie and Anthony show, Ron and Fez, Howard Stern, being able to work with an audience or work to an audience, engage a reaction, and register a reaction with people. That's kind of the people that I've looked at, especially guys like Bill Hicks and George Carlin and Richard Pryor, in how they used words and how they used their worldview and their philosophy to, completely develop an act or a character or a philosophy. Because if you're just watching pro wrestling for your frame of reference, for your character, you're not doing it the right way. And another one is Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman is another reason. Without Andy Kaufman, I wouldn't be in pro wrestling, because I'm from Hollywood, really shaped my love of pro wrestling as a very young man. And that is something that holds to me to this day. That's why in Capital Wrestling, there's an intergender world champion of the universe. The first guy Matthew Ryan Shapiro ever managed up in Ontario, Canada, for C4, which is the best wrestling promotion in Canada. There's no doubt about it. What Mark Policel's done up there is amazing. I'm very happy to have done things there, and I'm very happy for all of my friends who work there. But I managed a guy named Twiggy, who was the intergender wrestling champion, and I was a part of his Circle of Champions, I believe it was called, and I did maybe a nice 18-month or a year run up there. And Hunter S. Thompson, if people don't know, I actually have my only tattoo, my first of several potential tattoos, is the Freak Power symbol, the Gonzo fist, the thumbed fist holding a peyote button. I have that tattooed on my forearm.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, those are my influences. They seem very odd. Like if you're just looking at a wrestler, like who's your favorite wrestler? It's a lot more nuanced than that.
That's pretty cool, man. The more I hang out with you, man, the more I learn things about you. It's like I knew about some of them, but I really didn't know the whole extent. Like specifically George Carlin, he's like one of my idols. I love the way he pretty much used words, pretty much like you said it. It's a great way of getting underneath your skin or telling a fact. And you do really well of doing both of them. So now that we're talking about a little bit of wrestling, I'd like to ask you, what is your personal opinion of how wrestling was when we were growing up to what it is today right now, and how much has it evolved? Has it devolved? I mean, what do you think?
Pro wrestling is something that is fluid, that is cyclical. The professional wrestling industry never stagnates for long, and every 20 years, much like fashion, much like in any type of media, the kick of nostalgia comes in. So it's going to be rotating in a lot of the older stuff or pining for bygone eras, which is why there's so much attitude era apologists out there in the world of pro wrestling right now. And there's nothing wrong with liking the attitude era. That's the era I grew up in, and that's the pro wrestling I was weaned on from as a very young man. So I can end that. But you look at the way the business has grown, it's evolved to, instead of it being a physique-built business, it is an athletic business. It's predicated on athleticism. It needs to be variety. You need a variety of styles. You need a variety of identities, and that's one of the things about Capital Wrestling, is where you have traditional old-school wrestlers like Preston Quinn and Bob Evans, but then you have people like Sonny Kiss, Eddie McQueen. You have the New York Wrecking Crew. You have Rude Boy Riley, Mike Law, Jeff Campbell, John Kerman. You have a variety of styles, a variety of identities. And when you have things like that, you can cater to different people and different tastes, because pro wrestling, like any other, is subjective. People might like Hulk Hogan. A lot of people might like Tanahashi. And there's a lot of ground in between those two parallels. So you've got to find the things that work for other people, because you cannot just book for yourself. Mm-hmm. You got to look at wrestling as in any other media, any other business, from a macro perspective. Mm-hmm. I've actually had great conversations with some of the forebearers of the industry, some of the people that have run major promotions, that have worked for some of the major companies, and some of the people that have laid the groundwork for modern NXT. And that's the thing. It's all about learning from the past, utilizing that to build a better present and a better future, and understanding the machinations of this industry. Because a lot of people like to think that they know what they're doing. And there are several people who know exactly what they're doing, who they're catering to, and why they're catering to them. But then there's a lot of people who don't. So we're just trying to find that middle ground, and we're trying to create an entertaining product and an entertaining experience, because it's more about the experience than anything else.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, the fact that you pretty much said it yourself, that what you're putting together is something extraordinary, professional wrestling, and I like the fact that you actually said professional wrestling and not what these other people are saying sports entertainment, which to me, as you know, it's to me is bullshit. This is professional wrestling. Once you get inside that 20 by 20 ring, that's pure wrestling. You tell a story, yes, but you're still telling a story with wrestling. And that's my high belief, and that's why I always support a lot of the things that you guys do, because you bring back professional wrestling.
We're trying to bring back classic wrestling for the modern fan. I don't find anything wrong with the phrase sports entertainment, because I can see why you want to use that term, because that's what pro wrestling is. It's sports entertainment. It's an amalgamation of athletic competition and the pageantry of the entertainment world. And I'm fine with the term sports entertainment, but I am a pro wrestling producer. If you're marketing a product to a sponsor, sports entertainment's a great term. But if you're talking to especially in Jersey City or New York City, where some of the most rabid, hardcore New York wrestling in the world, or in New York, so you're going to want to cater to them. You're going to want to use the words pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. And Arn Anderson says it's always pro wrestling on the marquee. So that's what we got to give them.
Yep, very true. God, gotta love Arn Anderson. Have you ever met Arn Anderson?
I have not. He actually is one of my favorite wrestlers. He is up there on my list of favorite professional wrestlers.
Yeah, same here. All right, so one thing I've noticed about a lot of the wrestling podcasts, and I try to listen to as many of them as I possibly can. My biggest inspiration is The Art of Wrestling by Colt Cabana. By the way, shouts out to Colt Cabana, man. Love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. But the one thing I've never noticed anyone do is word association. Now, for those at home wondering what the hell do I mean about word association, like I said, I tell you a word or a set of words, and you tell me what the first thing pops in the head. So, being that you're my guest of honor, and my very first guest of honor, I'd like to actually do a little bit of that with you.
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Ravishing Rick Rude.
Legendary mustache, unvalued as a performer.
EYFBO.
Best tag team in professional wrestling.
Professional wrestling.
Something I've been addicted to since I can remember.
Kurt Angle.
Someone who redefined the career path of this industry.
Yeah, now it's going to start getting a little harder here. We got Chris Benoit.
Tarnished legacy.
Samoa Joe.
One of the greatest professional wrestlers to ever exist.
Amen to that one. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I read the history of New Japan about a year ago, and it is a very interesting company, and a very interesting business. If I had to boil it down, sports entertainment.
2KW Pro Wrestling.
One of the most important things to ever happen to me.
Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura.
An artist.
Sonya Strong.
Unlimited potential.
Mia Yim, also known to our wrestling fans in TNA Impact Wrestling as Jade.
Wonderful human being.
Amen. Capital Wrestling.
The passion.
I like that one. Explain that one if you don't mind.
Well, we launched Capital Wrestling on the 1st of January, 12:03 a.m. on January 1st of this year. It was 3 years in the making between two people, myself and Marcus Dowling, who are two of the most passionate people about professional wrestling that I've ever come across. And every single day, for hours on end, we have been looking to define the parameters of what this company should be. And we've only had passionate people on this project, from the roster to our art team to our partners at Cathedral Hall to our sponsors like the CCD podcast or some of the other great sponsors who have come on board, to the audience, because we have had a very vocal, very passionate response from people since the beginning. I have people who have worked for some of the biggest wrestling companies text me personally saying that they want to be involved in this project. I've gotten messages at 5 o'clock in the morning from people who have appeared on national television saying, I really want to be a part of this. And while everything's written in pencil, we have a year, 2 years, 3 years worth of ideas. And we have a team that can go for as long as humanly possible. And the amount of work we've put into this company means that it cannot fail.
That's amazing. That truly is amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. I really am. So why don't we talk about the show? March 25th, man. Well, the first thing I gotta ask, Cathedral Hall, how did you manage that, man? That's big.
It was one of the things on our list of things we wanted to accomplish. We wanted to have a venue that would stand out, because any great wrestling company
has a venue that you automatically identify with. And I've said this before. I said this on the Indie Wrestling Life podcast with my good friend Colin West, who comes out this week. When you think of Jersey All Pro, you think of Charity Hall and Bayonne. When you think of World Class Championship Wrestling, you think of the Sportatorium. When you think of ECW, you think of Swanson and Rittner or the Hammerstein Ballroom. The same thing with Ring of Honor. And the same thing with CZW. When you think of the WWE, you think of Madison Square Garden. When you think of Georgia Championship Wrestling, you think of the Omni. When you think of Florida, you think of the Homer Hesterly Armory in Tampa. Those are the buildings that define your industry. We want to have a building like that is also its own unique character in our story. In Cathedral Hall, which Marcus found, I spend a lot of time in Jersey City, but Marcus found this venue, and we went to go meet Mike, the owner of 4th Street Arts, the company that owns Cathedral Hall. We met them several months ago, and it was by far one of the most beautiful things I have ever stepped foot into. And I'm not a particularly religious man, but I found God that day because I found my home in that building. And it's just, I know you're coming, but to everybody listening to this or hearing about this show, if you take one step into Cathedral Hall, you will feel what Capital Wrestling is all about as soon as you step into there. Because one of the things that we're looking to do with Capital Wrestling is present a complete and total experience for the audience. From when you first find out about the company, to when you follow us online, to whether you watch us on Guys from Queens, our new digital television home starting April 8th at 6:05 Eastern, or if you come to an event like this coming Saturday night, March 25th at Cathedral Hall. We're not only just a wrestling show, but we're going to have a kick-ass band. We have someone composing wrestling music. We have a composer who will also be in the building that night. We have the Kings of the Ring, who are an awesome band. We have the Bearded One Barbecue putting together an amazing, amazing menu for you guys, which you can see on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Capital Wrestling. We're providing an entire experience for you, the audience, because this is what wrestling needs. Wrestling needs an experience. You need to feel like you're a part of something. Whether you're a sports fan, a music fan, if you attend anything, if you attend something and you want to feel like you're a part of it, you need it to be a full, enveloping experience. And that's why we have the VIP package. That's why we have the T-shirt packages, the trading card packages, the event poster packages, because we want you to take a little piece of the company with you wherever you go.
And that's another thing I was actually going to bring up, is that the VIP packages are absolutely amazing. I for one, already signed up to one of those packages. You know me, I'm getting the T-shirt, I'm getting the event poster, and I'm getting the trading card, man, because you don't see that anywhere unless you're a big giant corporation like the WWE or Impact. You don't see any corporations actually doing like an event poster or trading cards. So this is absolutely amazing. I can put these in my wallet, take them around. It's like saying, yo, I was here, man. You know,
Yeah,
it's a great marketing item.
And that's something that me and Marcus set out for as soon as we figured it out. As soon as we got this idea, and this is when we were moving forward on putting this event together, what would get people to come out aside from a great wrestling show? You've got to make it worth your while. You got to make it worth your dollar. And with so much stuff going on in the world, so much stuff going on in the wrestling world, you've got to create something to just generate interest from an audience. And we've tried to do that, and we've tried to create a brand. And I feel like we've been very successful with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like the support that I've seen on your Facebook page alone, and the response that I'm seeing from a lot of the people who are going to be attending the event has just been astronomical. And I know most mathematicians don't like me to use that, but you know what? They're not here, so fuck them. All right, let's talk about the card, man. Let's talk about the card, because there's a lot going on here. Everything is just mind-blowing. So let's just take the card and break it down, man. What are we going to look forward to? High flying, David and Goliath. What are we getting? Let's see. Come on, talk to me.
Well, the matches, we have a 7-match card announced, and we also have some other stuff that we may be announcing in the next few days, some possible pre-show entertainment for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But on March 25th, we have 7 matches that will go down at Cathedral Hall, but we only have a few that are announced. I'll announce the one that just been changed due to Rick Cataldo attending Tokyo Fashion Week, which coincides with our event on March 25th. He is unable to attend our debut at Cathedral Hall. Instead, Sonny Kiss will take his place.
Yes.
And it will be Sonny Kiss and Eddie McQueen taking on the New York Wrecking Crew, managed by that Matthew Ryan Shapiro guy. And this is a first-time ever matchup. These 4 have never faced off against each other before. First time it'll ever happen. First time Eddie and Sonny will ever team together inside any kind of ring, especially the Capitol Wrestling ring. And it's going to be an interesting match. It's a styles clash. It's 2 completely different teams, 2 different complete sense of personalities and identities. And speaking of styles clashes, we have the mixed martial artist, the professional mixed martial artist, a man who competes in cages, just had a fight about a month ago, John Kerman. He'll be in action against CZW regular deathmatch superstar, as seen on Vice, and Newbridge's own Jeff Cannonball in a styles clash. You've got a guy known for hardcore wrestling against a guy who's known as a striker, a mixed martial artist, 2 violence artists will enter into the ring on March 25th, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of violence, what kind of offense is going to be the superior type on March 25th. And then we have another tag team match. We'll have tag team matches as well, but this one's going to be a singles match, another singles match. It's going to be the Colossal Mike Law, the intergender world champion of the known universe, in non-title action, going up against the very first man announced for Capitol Wrestling, Rude Boy Riley, guys that have been in the same locker room, that have gone on the same rosters, but have never faced each other. And that'll happen in our live digital television taping for the guys from Queens Network on Saturday night, March 25th. And our main event is something we're very proud of. It is an old school 3-way dance. And if you've watched Ring of Honor over the past couple of weeks, you've seen the Pain Train Preston Quinn, a 20-year veteran, a guy who doesn't give 2 squirts of piss for anybody who steps into the ring with him. And he's going to go into that ring against a fellow Ring of Honor star, the Human Rocket, Leon St. Giovanni, one half of the Coast to Coast tag team. But you're going to see him in Capitol Wrestling as a singles competitor in the main event, going up against Preston Quinn. And people in the New York area know Leon St. Giovanni. He is from New Jersey, just down the road in Edison, and he'll be looking to make a huge impression in his home state. A Monster Factory product as well. He's going to be looking to make a huge impression and take a huge victory on the 25th. And the final opponent, the outsider, the outlier for a lot of people who attend shows in the Northeast, but if you're from the Mid-Atlantic region, you're very aware of him, Logan Easton LaRoe. He is the champion of the 1%. He is from a gated community, inside a gated community, and he is not happy about coming to the state of New Jersey, and more than anything wants to prove that he is the absolute best, and he's going up against 2 of the absolute best. 3 blue chippers here in a main event caliber match. Now, some of you may not know who these guys are walking in to Capitol Wrestling, but after Saturday night, March 25th, you're going to know exactly who they are. And also signed, we have the team of Matt Sexcells and Smiley, a brand new team put together by Capitol Wrestling Management. That's going to be interesting to see where that story goes. You can see how the team got together on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Capitol Wrestling. We also have the professional wrestlers, Brutal Bob Evans and Tim Hughes, also from Ring of Honor. And we have so much more great talent. It's going to be a night that you do not want to miss. And also, we've got the Kings of the Ring playing a kick-ass set at intermission. Some of your favorite wrestling themes. You're not going to want to miss that one. We're going to have awesome music, awesome food, some matches that you do not want to miss. You may not have heard all of the matches announced, but the matches that have been announced should and could sell out anywhere in the world. So be a part of something different. Be a part of the alternative. Be a part of old school wrestling for the modern fan. Capitol Wrestling on March 25th.
Oh man, I'm so pumped for this. Now, do you guys have insurance? Because I think you guys are going to blow the roof off of that place. You just got dot your I's and cross your T's and just make sure you got the insurance, because that roof is going to blow up, man.
I'm just hoping to get to the 26th.
All right, now, so for those who are actually wrestlers or photographers or people who are, promoters and who actually want to learn a little bit more about this, you guys are hosting an actual seminar earlier in that day. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we're going to be hosting a seminar hosted by Ring of Honor and New Japan announcer Kevin Kelly and the Pain Train Preston Quinn. Preston Quinn is the guy. If it's not Bob Evans, it is Preston Quinn, who Kevin Kelly goes to help run these seminars, to help you look at the insides of professional wrestling from inside the ring. So that is exactly the one guy you want to be inside a ring with when Kevin Kelly is watching, and you want to be a part of that. For only $75, you can learn not only how to succeed inside the ring, but also outside the ring, on the microphone, with your presentation, with every single part of what you do in and out of the ring. You're going to want to be a part of this for only $75, but for an extra $15 for $9. You can get your promo photos taken that day as well by Jonathan McClarty, or you also have one of the best wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling, Dave Lane. They'll be coming up to take photos, not only for the show, but to take your promo photos as well. It is $75 for the seminar, $90 for the package. But if you're coming the day of the show at noon when the seminar starts and you want to be a part of it, that is $100 to sign up for that seminar. Once again, it is $75 or $90 leading up to the seminar, but the day of, it is $100.
Okay, and I think it's also important to know that the only way you can actually get into the ring to learn from Preston is you actually have to be an active wrestler.
Yes, you have to be an active wrestler. You can come watch the seminar if you would like to pay the $75 and study or learn about the wrestling industry. That is more than fine. But if you want to get inside that ring and tussle around, it is $75, and you have to be a trained professional wrestler.
Okay, I'm glad we pointed that out, because a lot of people have been asking me questions, and I've just kept forwarding over to the Capitol Wrestling Facebook page. But now that I had you on the show, I just wanted to make sure that we got that out in the open, and everyone now knows. So some Joe Schmo like me doesn't come by and pay $75 and expect I'm going to get my ass beat in the ring, Although, you know me, I have no problem getting my ass beat in the ring anytime, man.
But I do. I have a problem with getting my ass beat inside the ring. I try to avoid it at all costs.
All right, man. Listen, thanks again for coming on the show, man. I think you and I just need to do one of these again, man, because there's so much that you and I can talk about, and I don't think we just have the allotted time to be able to do this. So I think we have to look forward to a part 2 in the future for this.
Hey, man, I'm down anytime.
All right, man. Listen, okay, guys, we're going to take a brief little break, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about technology. All right, take care, guys. All right, dude, thanks a lot for this, man. I really appreciate it, man. This was fun, man. This was a lot of fun.
I appreciate you having me on.
All right, I'm just going to do a couple of tweaks on this, and this thing is getting uploaded tonight.
Fantastic. Have a good rest of your night, man. Hit me up if anything.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Take care. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for coming back. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for everything. That was my buddy Matt Ryan, and that was fun. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while for Matt, and our schedules just kept on. It's been busy for the both of us. So the fact that I was able to finally ask him and find some time to actually do this, and on an awesome time with the Capital Wrestling just right around the corner, it was just a perfect opportunity to bring him on board and have him talk about wrestling, so you can hear his passion, hear how happy he is about where he is right now, and promoting Capital Wrestling. So, and I'm really going to try to bring him back for part two and talk talk a lot more uh, about anything in wrestling. He's just a great guy to learn from, and I honestly did learn a lot from him. Let's get into the technology portion of this podcast. Now, usually what I do in my podcasts, I talk about my random thought of the day or uh, any type of randomness that happens in this weird thing of a mind that is El Toro. And then we go into the technology and then bring it into speed for the wrestling. But I decided to leave the technology portion for last because of an incident that happened not too long ago. It happened uh, pretty much on a day where I pretty much had no control over anything. Let me bring the story into fruition so you can understand where I'm going with this. You guys have seen possibly on YouTube these videos that people have put up of these tech scammers. Now, whenever you go to a website and you click on links, chances are you may have actually clicked on a link that is, for lack of a better word, malicious. And then you start getting a loud beeping noise with a robotic voice saying, your computer has been infected. You need to contact this 800 number to have your system cleaned. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, in this day and age, fall for that scam and they are money is stolen from their account or information is stolen from their account, from their computers, and it's a big thing right now. It's a huge thing, and more people are falling for it every single time. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this actually happened. It came very close to home. It happened very close to home, and I hate to say it, I was very upset and very angry that it did happen to somebody I love. Um, so this person, what killed me even more, this happened on a Mac. Now, let me just add a little side note here. Macs are the most secure computers out there. I'm not saying they're 100% foolproof secure. There are things that could happen on a Mac, but for the most part, garden variety, viruses tend to not happen on a Macintosh computer, on an Apple Mac. It's a lot harder to actually break into a Mac. It's a lot harder to actually send a virus into a Mac. Even if you were to download a virus, it's a lot harder for the virus to actually do anything on a Mac. Now, if you were to email that virus that's currently on your Mac to somebody who has a Windows computer, they will actually have the virus affect them. Most of the viruses work on Windows computers. So this whole thing happened on a Mac, on somebody who I love very dearly. And a pop-up just showed up, says that your computer has been infected with a Trojan virus, and here's the error code, bloody, 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 bloody. Please contact this number to have this virus removed. The person contacted the 888 number that was there and got somebody from technical support, or so they said they were from technical support. The caller was clearly from the Asia side of the world, sounded Indian from what I was told, And they began the script that we apologize that this has happened to you. We'll be more than happy to help you out. We're going to need you to open up a web browser and go to support.me, which essentially takes you to a site that will allow the person to give you a 6-digit code so they can remote onto your computer after you download specific software. And once they download the software and connect to you, they're basically in your computer looking at everything that's happening at that point. They run specific types of software or uh, ads on a website that will say, "Ooh, your computer has all these infections, you have a Trojan virus," and so on and so forth. When the technician said that to this person proceeded in picking up their mobile phone and calling me directly. And I pick up the phone, I'm like, "Hello, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah." And they told me that it seems like my computer has a Trojan virus. Because I clicked on a link and it went to this page, and this page said to call this number, and my heart sunk. It sunk so fast, it hit the ground, broke through the ground, it went through the sewer system, came right out of the river, went right onto draw line, and somebody stepped on my heart. It hurt so much that somebody who is a part of my life, who I care about very much, got affected. But fortunately, I was able to stay calm, and I told her, "What I need you to do right now, I need you to unplug the power from the computer immediately and unplug the network cable from your router immediately." She was able to proceed to doing this, and that person was no longer connected. So they didn't get a chance to be able to do the stuff that they were going to be able to do. And I was fortunate enough to also let them know never to save anything confidential and personal on the computer to begin with. So they wouldn't have been able to get anything off of there anyway, but if they were able to stay there long enough, they may have been able to get some information off of their Wi-Fi network and thus connecting to any computer or mobile device that is connected to the internal Wi-Fi. With that being said, it's very, very important that people realize when you get a pop-up on your screen in your personal computer, whether you're at home, whether you're at an airport, or any place that you're using your own computer, and it's telling you to call a number, there's your red flag. I'm telling you right off the bat, that is one of the easiest ways to get scammed. Microsoft, which a lot of these people claim to be from Microsoft, will not ask you ever to call them unless you've actually physically called them yourselves by going to Microsoft.com and pulling up the How to Contact Us menu. Microsoft, Apple will never ask you to call them to help you remove a virus. These are multi-million dollar companies. Do you really think that they're monitoring your computer to have you call them when something is wrong with your computer? No. So it is very important, guys. If you see this, all you got to do is just close out of your browser, shut your computer off, turn it back on, and you will be fine. The next thing that I want to actually point out, it's like I said, if it happens to you on a Mac right off the bat, you know that it's fake because Macs are less susceptible to actually getting viruses installed on the machine. Okay. Now, if this happens on a Windows computer, I can understand the concern, but here's what you need to do. The easiest way to check to see if you're still having an issue with a virus on a Windows computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop, first thing you want to do is turn it off completely. Press and hold the power button down for 13 seconds. Wait until everything powers off. Okay? Now, if you have your computer connected to the router, um, take a look at your computer. If it's a physical desktop, unplug the cable that looks like a telephone cord. That's called a network cable. It's nice and thick. It's plugged into the back of the computer on the side of the computer somewhere. Unplug that, turn the computer on, go to your desktop, see if you have any notifications that you have a virus. If you don't have a virus, okay? Because that pop-up usually connects to the internet and will alert you if you have a virus, which really isn't a virus. It's just a pop-up message that somebody created on a Word document and they just converted it into a web page. That's essentially what that is. Okay. Now, if you have a laptop, that might be a little bit harder because laptops have Wi-Fi capability. With the Wi-Fi, all you need to do is this. Take a look on your laptop. Most of these laptops actually have this function. If you look at on the top of the keyboard and at the bottom of the keyboard, there should be an indication to turn on or turn off your Wi-Fi card. It looks like a little antenna, and if it's on the keyboard, it'll ask you to press a specific keyboard combination. Normally, some of these actually have the keyboard combination of the function key, which is the FN key located somewhere on the bottom to the left of the spacebar somewhere, and probably like an F5 or an F6. You press that, it'll turn off the Wi-Fi. You can log on to the computer, and then you should be okay. Some laptops actually have like a physical switch, and it's usually on the side of the laptop, and it'll actually indicate it as a little antenna. So if you see the switch on the side of the laptop, you can just flick that switch before you turn the computer on, turn it on, and see if that's okay. The next thing that I would advise that you do, if you do in fact think you have a virus, the easiest thing that you can do is Google free antivirus. The ones that I recommend are AVG. So if you do a Google search for antivirus AVG, it's a free antivirus program. It also scans your computer for any type of malware. It's absolutely free, and if you want to get the paid version, you can go ahead and get the paid version from them. Another antivirus program that I personally recommend would be Trend Micro. If you do a Google search for Trend Micro antivirus, it'll take you to the official Trend Micro page. You can download their free Trend Micro antivirus software, and if you want extra protection, you can pay for their yearly subscription of the software. And that software, I think it covers antivirus, malware, spyware. It also installs a firewall to prevent people from actually connecting to your computer if you're in a public Wi-Fi, and it'll help clean out a lot of the miscellaneous cookies that can be seen as a potential virus on your machine. So those are the few things that I recommend. If you don't feel comfortable doing any of these, then you can also take your computer or your laptop to a professional tech person who can actually do this. Now, if you're working at a company that has a really good IT department, they may be able to help you and put you in the right direction. Some people can take it over to the Geek Squad, let them know. The Geek Squad, for those who don't know, here in the New York area and the US area, the Geek Squad is a company within Best Buy stores, and they'll help you with computer questions and whatnot, and they'll actually repair computers. You can take it to a Geek Squad, let them know you believe that it has a virus. They will do a diagnosis, check to see if it does, and if it does, they will assist you in cleaning it up, and they will give you recommendations on what type of antivirus software protection you should get, and you can get it right then and there, and they'll install it. They'll help you install it. If you have any concerns with your Apple product, as far as your iMac, your Mac Mini, or your MacBook, or any type of Mac computer, you can easily take it to the Genius Bar at an Apple store, at the closest Apple store to you, and let them know that, you know what, I got this notification on my computer that it says a virus, and I needed to call this 800 number, but I didn't want to do that, so I just brought it in here. Can you take a look at it? And they'll be more than happy to take a look at it, as long as there's not a huge line there. And for the most part, anytime that I've actually suggested somebody to do that, they've never really charged anybody for that, unless it's like a physical damage to the device itself, to the computer itself. They're, they will help you out as best as they can, and they will advise you if you should get a Mac antivirus program or not. But yeah, the Genius Bar and the Apple stores, they're very, very good. They're very, very well versed. and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. Now, the next thing, if you do happen to make that phone call and call that 800 number and realize that they're asking for too much information, they're moving the mouse around for way too much, hang up the phone right away, turn off the computer right away, unplug it from the computer, and report it to your local authorities. My suggestion, uh, call 311 or 411 or 611, whatever the new information number line is. In the New York area, it's 311, and ask for the FBI phone number. I was at a seminar of cybersecurity, and one of the presenters was an FBI agent for the cybersecurity unit, and they pretty much focus on, like I mentioned, cybersecurity, spyware, ransomware, and malware. And they suggest that even if it's just a company or if it's personal, if you get something that can be construed as spyware or malware or ransomware, and that you have to call a telephone number to report it to them. And they'll get some information off of you, and they'll take the investigation from there. And yeah, that's that's what you want. That's what you want to do. So that's why I wanted to leave this for last, because a lot of people are really, really falling for these scams, and they're getting a little bit smarter on these scams. And I just want you to be very well educated on what to look out for if something like this were to ever happen to you. I hope it never does. I hope you just be able, if something like that happens, you you're going to be okay. I mean, I'm stuttering here a lot because it is a very sensitive subject, and me being an IT person like that, it hurts me to see that there's people out there who believe that they're actually doing a service on helping somebody when all they're doing is a disservice. They're being very disloyal. They're hurting innocent people, and they're just stealing their money. They're stealing the information, and it's just absolutely wrong, and it hurts me because it makes people like me who bust their ass on a day-to-day basis in computers trying to help people out. It just makes people like me look bad. And there's a lot of really good techs out there, like legitimately good techs. So when something like this happens, it's just very disheartening. And to see that it actually happens so close to home, it's devastating to me, and it hurts me. And it hurts me. So I want to educate as many people as I possibly can for something like this to not happen to them. Guys, this was a fun podcast. I'm very happy about this, and we got a lot done. We got a lot done. And can you believe that it's almost going to be a year since I've actually launched this podcast? I never expected to actually get the amount of followers that I've gotten and people listening to the podcast as much as you guys have, and following me on Twitter and on my Facebook page. This is just one hell of a ride. And you know what? There's a hell of a lot more to go. So with that being said, I want to wish you all guys a very, very lovely weekend, and you guys take care and be safe.